welcome you to the Infographics workshop. My name is Chana. I'm also teaching here other workshops and teaching here the ACA exam, Photoshop and Illustrator. So some people come and see me twice a week. That's cool. And I'm going to try to talk to you a little bit about infographics. But before we start doing that, I'm also recording it so we can put it on the Digital Lounge website. One thing about the recording, I'm not editing it, I'm not doing anything to it, so it's not like going to be a smooth recording. It's just me talking, coughing, you coughing, talking. You're just going to hear what's going on in the stuff here. How many people used Illustrator before? Okay. So this is one of the things with infographics, because we're doing infographics, and most of the time people do infographics with Illustrator. Can you do it in Photoshop? Of course you can. Why do people do infographics in Illustrator? Because Illustrator is resolution independent software. It's an object-based software. So if I'm going to start an icon today and I'm going to show it to you, and we're going to start it this size because we feel like putting it in our corporate report, and then all of a sudden say, oops, I want to put it on a wall somewhere. You can stretch it, enlarge it, do anything that you want. It's still going to be high res because it's resolution independent. There's no resolution in Illustrator. There's no pixels over there unless you bring something from Photoshop into it. All the stuff that you do with Illustrator is basically doing objects, and with this object you can create all kind of icons. And I did prepare for you a PDF because I figured if people never used Illustrator before, we're going to do a very fast overview about the interface and jump directly into what you do with infographics. So we jump directly into drawing some object, combining object, and then opening also the charts and graphs area in Illustrator, which is a dedicated area for charts and graphs. So basically what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to look at the different charts that we have in Illustrator. We are going to go in and also export it to a final export. So you can export it as a PDF, you can export it as a PNG or a JPEG, depending where you're going with your infographics. So how many of you are going to need to do infographics in your work, right? That's it, because most of you are communication students, journalism students, marketing, all this stuff. So nowadays everybody's talking about infographics. You see it everywhere. And what is infographics? So I try to just put it into wording, but in general it's a visual story that you do with some graphic and trying to communicate with some of the audience or the people that read with not so much text but more with visuals. So can you do that with Photoshop? Like I said before, yes. Can you do even moving infographics nowadays? People will do it with Photoshop and Illustrator and then put it in After Effects or in Animate and make moving infographics as well. So people really using it as much as they can. It comes from a fusion of words like information and graphics. That's what people call it, infographics, and some people will refer it to different kind of names as well. But basically for me are icons. I look at it as icon. And you see icon in newspapers, you can do it in advertisement, you do it everywhere. So I kind of try to put some stuff here. These are general stuff that I did in Illustrator. So all the way down, what you see here, this is like an infographics maybe for going camping somewhere. This is a parent and a child. This is a camping bench. I mean, it's all done in Illustrator, and actually you can borrow some infographics or icon directly from Illustrator and make them look a little bit different, and then everybody's going to think it's yours. So there's other ways to take symbols from Illustrator. So why do we do it in Illustrator? First of all, because it's a vector-based object or system or format. So everything that you can do, you can draw, and also you can change your drawing. Second of all, you can also go in and edit things in Illustrator. So if you're not the one that's going to draw everything, you can download or take stuff directly from Illustrator, all kind of symbols, and go ahead and adjust the symbols and make it your own, and it's very easy to do. So kind of wrote down what you need to know to do it, to maybe draw in Illustrator. We're not going to go heavy into drawing in this class because that's take longer, and we're doing it in other classes. But you need to draw with Illustrator. You need to create symbols, and we're going to do that in this class because that's going to be easy. And we're not going to draw the symbols, we're going to make them from different kind of objects. So it's going to be really simple. You need to work with the appearance panel to know how to add some special effects, and I'm going to show you how to do that. And you need to know how to modify shapes, and that's another thing that we're going to do. So I kind of like what I did here in this PDF. I wrote down how to modify shapes, how to draw some stuff, how to build symbols. You can see here how to edit the symbols, and then I added for you some links and resources, some places to look for icons for inspiration, that you can download stuff, 6 easy steps to a better icon design, icon handbook, 24 icon design tips. It's not things that I did, it's like little areas that you can go and get inspiration. Because for me, a lot of time, what kind of icon I'm going to do, I start looking around and say, what is the inspiration? How am I going to do an icon that's going to look a little bit different, and it's going to catch the eye of the audience, and the colors are going to be accurate, and everything is going to be just fun. So this PDF is within your files. So I'm going to get out of that, and I'm going to launch Illustrator. And this is the welcome screen for Illustrator. If you never used Illustrator before, that's kind of like the welcome screen for Illustrator. And all what you need to know at the moment, that all the way up at the top of the screen, you have the word start. Do we all see the word start? If you click inside the word start, I can go to some of my workspaces. I'm going to go to the essential workspace, which is a very simple workspace. I'm going to reset it, and this is what I see at the moment. Let me know if you do have the essential workspace. People that do not have the essential workspace don't have Illustrator 2018. You just have, it's a different one. You have essential and essential classic. Are we all using 2018? Yes? Which one do you have? 17. So for you 2017, you don't have this one. You can use the regular essential. What you don't have is the properties panel. And if you don't, I don't need even to go there, but what the properties panel is doing is letting you work directly into Illustrator without thinking, which that's kind of good. But if how many do not have 2018? Okay, let's just go in and click on the regular essentials. So the people who have 2018, click on Essential Classic. And that's a different workspace. This workspace have a lot of the panels that we are going to use in this class. Since you never used Illustrator, some of you, it kind of looks a little confusing at the moment. Do not worry about it. I'm going to guide you step by step to do some stuff. I also prepared for you files, and we're going to look at the files. I want you to go to File and Open. And then in the infographics, you see here, you have bunch of folders over here. And these are the folders that we are going to go in and use with stuff. And I also prepared for you a template. And in this template, you're going to see areas that you can go in, and like, let's say you see a sketch template. This is just template that you can put symbols into it. That's all. And this is another one that has symbol sets that you can go, if you end up doing stuff for the web, you can see just simple symbols that I have here that I downloaded for you guys to play with. In order for us to know how to fix it, we have to learn few things in Illustrator. So the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to go to File, and we're going to go into File and Open. File New, sorry. we're gonna go into this dialog box that tells you what kind of file would you like to open at the moment. Do you see a screen like that? Click on the print for now. You do have different kind of intent when you are using Illustrator. So if you're gonna need to use maybe icons and put them, let's say, on a mobile device, you have mobile device areas that you can go and put it in there. But we're gonna use just simple, because the first thing we're gonna do, we're just gonna look at the interface and I'm gonna let you draw a few things, and that's it. And we're gonna right away prepare our first tiny little icon that we have. It's gonna be kind of like nice and easy. So all the way to the right, I see it is in point. That's the default measurement in Illustrator. We do not need to do it in points. We can go in and go back, and let's say we're gonna make it in pixels. If it goes to the web, we can just make it in inches. For now, let's just go in and make that 4 inches by 4 inches. It's gonna be one artboard, and we're gonna make like maybe a big icon in this artboard. What does it mean by artboard? 1 page. Later on, we're gonna look at more artboards. It's really great to present icons in Illustrator and different kind of artboards. So I'm gonna have one artboard, and I'm gonna call that shapes. And now I'm gonna just click create. And let me know if you have this on the screen. The first thing that we want to see when we create something in Illustrator, look at what you have in front of you. How does it look? Does it look, what color does it look when you open a new file? It looks white. It's never white in Illustrator. It's always transparent. Even if it didn't ask you, when you do file new in Illustrator, it is a transparent background. How would you know about it? If you go to view and show transparency grid, it will go in and show you this is actually how Illustrator opens. Why is it on looking like a white background? Because they feel like it's a lot easier to work with Illustrator like that. So I'm gonna go back to view and hide transparency grid. If nothing is selected on the screen, and if any of you do not have Illustrator CC 2018, you're lucky enough to have a new panel that you guys don't have, which is the properties panel. And if I'm looking at my workspace, you don't have that, you have all the other stuff, but we have something that looks like this, the properties panel. If you don't see it in your workspace, you can go to Window and bring out the properties panel. What's easy in the properties panel is, instead of looking to view and show transparency grid right away when nothing is selected, you can go to rulers and grid and click on the transparency and turn it on and off directly on the properties panel. So basically what this properties panel is doing is making beginners feel a little bit more comfortable with Illustrator. It was kind of like customer request, because a lot of people said, we open Illustrator for the first time, there's so many panels, we don't know where to start. So the properties panel is kind of giving you beginning. But if you don't have the properties panel, a lot of the stuff with nothing is selected is under the view menu bar. So for you guys is show transparency grid. So I can do that here. What else can I do here? I can also go into show rulers. People who don't have that, go to view, rulers, and show rulers, or command or control R. Why do I want to show rulers a lot in Illustrator when I start building stuff? Because I might bring guides out. Because maybe I want to say I want it to the left and I want it to the right and I don't know what I'm doing, so I might put some guides to guide me where to put it on. So how do you bring guides in Illustrator? When you have here the rulers, you can basically go to the side, click and hold it down and drag a guide. click and hold it down, and maybe drag a guide to the other side. And I'm not even measuring it, what I'm doing. I'm just showing you how to bring down some guides. And I'm going to bring out another guide. So if I have something like this over here, maybe I guided myself where not to get out of the frame or something like that. These guides, you can move them and you can do anything with them if they are not locked. So we're going to check it out if it's locked or not locked. If you go to View and Guides, if it says Unlock Guides, that means they were locked. If it says Locked Guide, that means they were not locked. I locked it yesterday, they're still locked. That's one thing in Illustrator. As soon as you do one thing, it remembers. So yesterday maybe I locked my guys, I'm going to unlock my guys. When you unlock your guys, you can move them. Yes?
Sorry, how did you get the guides again?
Do you have the rulers out?
No.
Go to View, Rulers, Show Rulers. Or go to your Properties and show your rulers. Do you see them? Now click on the ruler and drag a guide. See, I can drag as many guides that I want. If I don't like it and if it's not locked, basically I can click on a guide and delete it. Click and drag and it tells you it's a guide. If you go over, you see the tiny little pink words, guide, guide, guide. That Illustrator Smart Guides. They are going to tell you what everything is. In a minute, after doing some object, we might even go in, take an object and make it into a guide, in case you need to do something like that too. Every object in Illustrator can become a guide, and then you can make it back to an object. Does that make sense? Yes?
So I was just wondering, my, the white part, it's like more rectangular. I don't know how to make it like.
Well, it's just depending on the size that you did. So if I did it 4x4, if you want to check the size, you're going to go in all the way down and click on the artboard tool, Shift O. And if you click on it one time and I click twice, I see the artboard option. If mine says 4x4, if yours says 4.2 or something, you can change the size. You can change size of any artboard and any time that you have, either by clicking on the artboard tool, or if I go back to the selection tool, you can go to File and Document Setup, and over here you click Edit Artboard, and once again, all the way up in my control, I can see the size of my screen. Does that make sense? So everything in Illustrator basically works with an artboard. If you are on the artboard tool, look what's going on. It says something all the way up in your control. It will tell you it's a custom artboard. It will tell you the landscape or portrait. Mine doesn't matter because it's 4x4. It will tell you that it's artboard 1. Do you see that? We can go in and just call that icon 1. Because maybe we're going to try to decide to make one little icon over here. Does that make sense? If I want to change my size later, I can at any time. You change sizes of artboard in Illustrator with the artboard tool. When you're in the artboard tool, you cannot do anything else. You cannot draw. Does that make sense? Are you okay?
Yeah.
Can I help you?
I'm trying to figure out how you got the little
The artboard?
yeah.
Click on the artboard tool or click on Shift O. Shift O is the artboard tool.
There we go.
Yeah, and that goes into it. If you want to start drawing now though, get out of it right away. Because if you think you're going to draw and you're going to click or do something with that, guess what it's creating? Another artboard. Things that are outside of the artboard in Illustrator are not printing or not transfer. I mean, people are not going to see it. So if you want to send somebody a PDF and most of the icons are outside of the artboard, guess what they're going to see? Partial view of the stuff. So think about it as artboard is basically a bunch of pages standing next to each other, or boards that you're presenting. So you can do a lot of stuff with Illustrator, like mood boards, but you can also do different icons and different layers and different logos and things like this. So now what I want you to do is go to your toolbox. It is difficult to remember what's on the toolbox, but I want you to go in and click. I'm going to give you the hint where to go. Click on the letter M, just M, and that will take you to the rectangle tool. Do you see that? Click and hold down your mouse and hold it down. Do you see other tools in there? I'm still holding it down, not releasing my mouse at all, and moving. And do you see the arrow over here? Click on the arrow and release. And look what I get. I get the tool over here in front of me. If I close that, it goes back there. If I click again, hold it down, and I basically can snap my toolbox. So we are going to look today at maybe the circle tool, the rectangle tool, the polygon tool, and the star tool. Not a lot of tool, but from that we're going to go in and create some other stuff. So you can see that you create all kind of things. And then we're going to go to something that is drawn for you, and we're going to try to copy it. So that's going to be another kind of icon. And then we're going to go into the charts and graphs, and maybe later we're going to even trace an icon. Basically everything that represents something can be an icon. There's not really rule, oh, that's not an icon. It is an icon. It represents something for an infographic if this is what you use in your graphics. So what I want you to do is click on the rectangle tool and click one time on the screen. Do you see I have a certain number there? My number is the number of a rectangle that I probably did yesterday. By default, it's going to be 1.3339 or something like that. That's the default measurement for all of the Adobe shape tools. Since I did something yesterday, it remembers, and that's something with Illustrator. It will inherit everything that you did. So if you don't want something, you have to right away fix it, otherwise it will continue doing it. So what I want to do is going to do a very simple icon. I'm going to do it 2 shape by 2 and click OK. Bless you. And look what happened right now. I have a big rectangle and I see it open on this screen. And then I'm going to go to the center of it. As soon as I click on the center, you see an arrow and a little dotted line around it. Do you see that? You can click inside and move it. Why am I clicking on the center and not other areas? Because if I go to other areas, what do you see? You see the cross-haired center there? If I click with that, guess what he wants to do? Another rectangle. So basically the rule in Illustrator, anything that you do, you cannot move your objects with the object tool unless you click on the center with the object tool. If you want to move it in a different way, you have to go to your selection tool, this guy. The shortcut to get into it is the letter V. You might want to write it down. It's the same shortcut for the move tool in Photoshop and the same shortcut for the selection tool in InDesign. So if I click on that, I can go into the center and move it around. What happens if I click here and I want to move it? Do you see it doesn't move? In mine at least. And then see it didn't move at all. Why didn't it move? Because my rectangle from yesterday maybe has no fill and no stroke. How do I know? Everything in Illustrator goes with a fill and a stroke, which is a frame. All the way up in my control, do you see the 2 squares that has red? I mean, yours has maybe colors on them. Because if you do a default, it might have a color. I'm going to click inside the first square, and this is my swatch panel that came with this file, a default swatch panel. Do you see that? Click over here. You have to have the rectangle selected. If it's not selected, nothing is going to happen. And let's go in and I'm going to click on, let's say, green. Now I'm going to go, while it's still selected, to the other area and click inside, and I'm going to go in and make the stroke black. And here it tells me how many points is the stroke. What is the stroke? It's the frame around it. So I'm going to go in and make it maybe 5 points. Do you all see that? Can be any other colors. If you want to check in the behavior of your stroke right now. Yes?
Can you repeat how to make
The colors?
yeah.
Yes. You have to select your rectangle. No matter what, it has to be selected. If it is not selected, it's not going to look, it's nothing happening.
I just don't have the bars on the very bottom.
You don't have these ones? Oh, these guys. If you guys don't have that, go to Window and open your controls. Do you see the control? It has to be open.
Okay.
You see that?
Yeah.
And then you want to select your rectangle with the regular selection tool. With this guy. Not with any other thing. Does that make sense? Is it working now?
Yeah.
Now I'm going to go in and fill it with the green and go to the stroke and fill it with the black stroke. And you can give it any size that you want. I just did 5. But what's the behavior of the stroke right now? The behavior of the stroke right now is that it's on the center of the image. What if you want the stroke to be outside? Click on the word stroke on your control. It's your drop down menu. And look what you have here. Do you see the word align stroke? By default, it aligns it to the center. You can align it to inside. Do you see it's a different size? You can align it to the outside. Does that make sense? It's going to be really important when you're going to create later icons for the web and somebody is going to tell you a certain size. You want to make sure if you have a stroke, you calculate also the stroke. Otherwise, all of a sudden somebody says to you, it's not 2 by 2, I mean not 200 pixels, but 200 pixels. It's 201 or 3, I mean, or whatever size it is, because you didn't calculate that. Another thing, I'm going to leave it to the center. Another thing that you can do with stroke for later, just to make stuff looking a little bit better, you can also make a dash line. At the moment, I have a certain dash line. I can tell it how to sit on the square. I'm going to go to the left, and you see it is exactly the same space, but doesn't sit great on the corner. If you go to the other symbol, it will sit perfectly on the corner, but if you go in and start measuring a little bit the spacing, you see the spacing is compensated a little bit. You're not going to see it so much, but it's not perfect. But at least for the eye, it looks a little bit better than this one. Then you see the dash line right now is a 12 point for all of you. That's a default. What if you don't like to see that? Click on the dash and change that to 8. And look what happens now. It's smaller dots. I'm going to go in and let's say go into a gap and go to a gap between that, and I'm going to say 4 and enter. Do you see what happened now to my area over here? I do have a rectangle that has dotted line like this. I can also go in and change the look of the dotted line based on how the corners are. I can go in and click on the corners, but I can also go and click on the cap, and if it's a round cap, do you see now they look like tiny little sausages because it's the gap is too small and it's round. And if I look at the next projecting cap, you don't see anything because maybe the gap is not big enough. So basically, if I'm going to go into the gap and make it 20 now, you can see something that looks like that. So you can play with all the stuff here, but if you want to save that later, you can actually go ahead and save it in something called Graphic Styles Panel, which is really important because what if all the shapes that you're gonna do, you want them to look like that. You just want it just to look like that. So now you can go to your graphic style panel. If you don't have it out in your workspace, go to Window and bring out your graphic styles. Basically, all the panels are under the Window menu bar. Does that make sense? I opened the Essential Classic or the regular Essential in Illustrator 17 because it has all the stuff together except the properties. So I'm going to go into the graphic styles. And you see they're giving you some styles. All what you need to know about at the moment is go to the flyout menu, this little dots, and say New Graphic Style. And give it a name. I'm going to call it Rectangle with Dotted Line. Or you can give it a normal name or whatever name you want. So look what happens now. Do you see it inside your graphic style? Yes? Click on another style. Look what happened to my rectangle. Click on another style. Click on this style. How does this look? Yes.
Sorry, how did you say the name?
I went to the flyout menu and say New Graphic Style. To the area with the lines at the edge of the panel. You see that? New Graphic Style. You also can drag and drop it to the graphic style panel as well. Does that make sense? So if I want to go back to my style, I can go. Can I build more styles? I can. Do they give me more styles? All the way down here, look at how many styles that they have for me. They have special effects, artistic effect, all kind of stuff that if you click, you basically open another graphic style panel. And if you click on anything of it, it will start coming in and showing up in your current graphic style. Does that make sense? So now it's saved in. If I save my file, it will save it with it. I'm going to go back to my style. I did that. I don't feel like having the dotted line, but at the moment, I want to go in and do another circle. So I'm going to go into my ellipse tool. I can either click on the screen to create an ellipse, or I can go in and click and drag an ellipse, or if I hold on the shift key, I'm going to create a circle. Does that make sense? And look at my circle. Did I tell you that Illustrator inherits everything? It's exactly looking like the other one that I just made. Does that make sense? So now I'm going to go to the top one and I'm going to click on the magenta, let's say, and go to the stroke and say I do not want to have a dash line. And now I have two symbols, one next to each other. And now we're going to start looking at other stuff. What if it's the beginning of a symbol that I want to do stuff with it? And then I didn't do it the right way. I'm going to go in and try to align it. And we're going to look at different ways of aligning some stuff. And I have a folder for you for aligning objects as well. But look what I have. What if it's here? And I want to go in and align the two objects together. And I want to have the magenta circle aligned more or less to the center of my other shape. I'm going to select one, hold on the shift key, and select the other one. Do you see the two of them are selected? Now, do you see all the way up in your control? There's some alignment symbols. Do you see them? They're also going to tell you what is it going to align to. But you also have an align panel, which may be easier to work with. Yes?
How did you get both of them at once?
Select them.
Yes.
Select one, hold on the shift key and select the other one with the selection tool. Now I'm going to go to Window and I'm going to bring my align panel. Do you see that? This is my align panel. By default, the align panel is not actually expanded. I'm going to go to the flyout menu and say show options. And I see all the options for the aligned panel. And why is it important? Because you see the word align to? It is important what are you aligning the stuff to. If my align to is to the artboard, and then I'm going to the symbol that says vertical align top, look where it's going. It's going to the top of the artboard. Does that make sense? That's not what I want to do. You can have unlimited undos in Illustrator. You can go to edit and undo align. And now I'm going to change it to align to selection. And now I can decide how do I want to align it. Maybe I want to align it vertical align center. And maybe horizontal align center. Do you see what I have now? I do have a symbol that has a different kind of look right now. Does that make sense? Now I might do other stuff with it. I might go just to my rectangle. Do you see the tiny little dots on the rectangle? You click in and draw it inside and make it into a circle. That's it. So now I have a shape that has a little circle in it. That's it. Here, on, off.
When I want to move the pink circle, it selects both of them.
Yes, because if both of them are selected right now, they are going to move together. If you don't want both of them to be selected, you deselect first, click somewhere on the screen, then click on the circle and move it out. Does that make sense? If I want to select both of them, I'm going to select both of them by holding on the shift key, and you can also group it. So yes.
My pink circle disappears every time. Is there like a reason why pink circles disappear when I try to make the corners more round?
And is it on top of this one?
Yeah, or maybe it's below. Oh, maybe it's underneath.
Maybe it's underneath. How would you know if it's underneath? Go into your layers panel and check it out in the layer. You can see where are they. You want the ellipse to be on top of the rectangle. Does that make sense? But if I'm going to select the circle and the ellipse together, you see both of them are selected. I'm going to go in now. I can do object and group. Once you group it, they're going to move together. Does that make sense? Yes? So now I have like, it could be a symbol for something. Later on I can type something on it, and it could be an icon maybe to push something in and to push out something in, and you can go in and create something and make that into a real symbol. And what does it mean, a real symbol? Symbol is going to be something that you can go and change. So for now, I know some people never use the Illustrator, so I see them kind of like going out and leaving out. Stay with me a little bit because you're going to understand it a little bit better when we start working. Go to, for me, leave this file, go to File and Open. And go into Working with Symbols. And double click on Symbol Sample 1 just to open it. And look what happens over here. I have a bunch of stuff that I made. I drew it with Illustrator. Do you see that? Were you able to open that?
What file is it in?
File, open, and go into the infographics and go into the working with symbol area. It's something that's getting ready for you. It's already a symbol. Do you see that? Let me know if you're able to open that.
Yeah, I'm unable to open it. It's not.
What?
It's not opening on. You have to open it with this file.
It's not opening?
Not like just clicking it.
Where are you clicking? Are you in the drop? Are you not
Yeah.
gonna click here? You have to snap it up in the dropper and unzip it
Okay.
because it's not. It's looking for the folders. From the Dropbox, it wants to see a file, not the zip, because the zip have everything else in it. So you want to see an Illustrator file and then open that. I want you to look at this for a minute. Watch my screen. I'm going to go to my symbol panel. Why is this essential for icon making? Because you may make the icon like we made the other one, or we'll make it in a minute into a symbol. But what are you doing with icons a lot? It might repeat all over the area. You might have a map that's going to be an infographics, and in the map you're going to have a lot of stuff there that it's going to be repeating. Let's say parking and coffee area and all kind of stuff like that, and you want to go in and put it around, and then if you want to change it, you want everything to change globally. I made these symbols, but I want you to go in and bring some symbols. I want you to go to the symbol panel. Do you see in the symbol panel you have more symbols than the one that you have on the screen? Do you see that? Do you have a symbol panel? If you don't see your symbol panel, go to Window and bring your symbols panel out. Do you see the symbols panel over here now? Do you see a lot of thumbnails? Basically, what are symbols? Symbols are everything Adobe Illustrator. All the objects that you can do, you basically put them there as a symbol. It's almost like your drawer to bring it back and forth. But once you make it symbol, you make a commitment that all of them are going to be, each one of them is the same if you repeat it. Are you okay? Did you?
Yes. Like, how did you get to this? That's what I was trying to send you.
She's just trying to
Where
send
did
you a file.
she like?
I opened the file and then I went to the symbol panel. Did you open the symbol panel? Yes? Do you guys have the symbol panel open? Okay. Do you have this file open? Okay. So these are the things, I made the symbols. How did I make the symbols? I made them from this little leaf here. Do you see that? That's a cute little leaf here that I made some stuff in it with it already. I didn't draw it. Can you have more symbols? As many as you want. If I click on the bottom of the symbol panel and it looks like a symbol library, do you see that? Look how many symbols I can bring out for now. Some of them are not so pretty, but I want you to go into the maps symbols. Do you see maps? Do you see the word maps all the way down there? Click on it. These are the map symbols, and you're going to say, wow, we see them all the time, everywhere. Yes, these are symbols that were created in Illustrator, and you can go in and create different stuff and make it look a little bit different. Yes.
Sorry, where did you get that again?
I went to the symbol panel, and then the bottom left of the symbol panel, I have something that says Symbol Library Menu. Do you see that? Click inside. These are all kind of symbols that you can bring. In a minute, we are going to open organization chart or illuminate flow chart. Little things that they think maybe you're going to need it to create some stuff that you want. Right now, I don't have it in the regular symbol panel. Do you see that? So if I save my file and go out of it, these guys are not going to be there in my symbol panel. Go ahead and click on the second one, campground. And then go ahead and the next one, rest area. And the next one next to it, school. You see I have 3 symbols. I just clicked on it. And I'm going to go in and close that. Then I'm going to go back and I'm going to go into, they are illuminated, which are really ugly, but I'm going to go into illuminate organization charts. Do you see that? These are my organization chart. Don't worry that they don't look so cool, but just click on the first one and it's going to go into your symbol panel, and then find some of this organization. I'm going to go into the one that says organization chart curved and just going to put it in here, and that's it. Now go ahead and do file and save as, and save that as symbols sample number 2 as an Adobe Illustrator file. That's it. And why are we saving it? Because as soon as I saved it, whatever I clicked on, it's now in my symbol panel in this file. Does that make sense? If you don't save the new one, they're not coming in. In Illustrator, everything you save with your file, it's a file-based organization. Just to make you confused enough, because Photoshop works just the opposite. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to play with these symbols. And what I want you to do is go into the first symbol, this one, campground. Click on it and drag it over to the screen. That's it, one time. Do you see that it's really, really tiny? Because they don't care how they make the symbols. That's the beauty of Illustrator. You can make it now huge to put it in an area. Now I'm going to go in and with the selection tool, click on the edge of the bounding box, make it bigger, and hold on the shift key. So making it a little bigger. Do you see it now a lot bigger? Now I want to go in and I'm going to show you how to use symbols in symbolism tool, but for now we're just going to copy it. Let's say that's area here, it's a map, and you want to put like 6 campground on top of the map. And you created already the symbol. Hold on the Option or Alt key. Do you see a double cursor underneath your cursor? Do you see that? Click on it and drag a copy. Release the mouse. Do not release the Option or Alt key yet. Click another one and do another copy. Let's say I did that. Only 3. Now I hate the color. And pretend that you did 50 of them all over the place already, and somebody calls you and say, I don't like it, I really want to change that icon in the entire infographics. I want to change stuff. I want to change the look and I want to change the color. Go ahead and double click on the campground symbol. Just double click on it. Do you see that it opens on the screen and it's still tiny? Do you see that? Because it remembers the old size. I want to zoom into it. I'm going to go for now. I'm not even going to give you a little shortcut. I'm going to click on the zoom tool on the toolbox and I'm going to zoom in. And you see, and I go into this hand tool and I'm zoomed in. All what I see is that it is a symbol that somebody made and it's red. I'm going to the selection tool and just selecting it. And then all the way up, you see it shows me that it's red. I'm going to click inside and I'm going to choose any other color. I'm going to do green. And click outside of it. And it's not selected anymore. I even can change the look. How would I do that? I go all the way up to my toolbox, if I click on the letter A, it takes me to the direct selection tool. Do you see that? Now I'm going to go to the edge of the campground, just the edge. Do you see the word anchor? Click and just do stuff like that. And click on the other side and just do stuff like that. Basically, you made it a different kind of icon. Completely different. Now, all what you need to do is either click on the arrow to exit the symbol or hit escape. And then go in and zoom out and look at my icons. Do you see what happened to the three of them? Do you see the three of them changed? Yes.
How do you get from the small screen to this, back to this screen?
Escape.
Oh, you just click escape.
Yeah. I'm just going in and escaping. Yes.
Mine didn't save. I created it, but then it disappeared.
You created where?
I made one of the little campfires.
Yeah, but you have to figure out, you have to put it out here. You have to put it on the screen. You have to make it bigger. Go into this tool and make it bigger. Okay, now duplicate it. Hold on the Option key and duplicate it. Even twice, that's okay. Click on it. No. Hold on the Option key and drag copy. That's it, okay? Now where is it? It's this one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Double click. Double click. Double click on this one. If that's the one you use, that's the one you want to do. Double click on that. Something's going on with this double click. Is that maybe another one that you had? No.
Maybe like this.
Oh, maybe it's this one. Oh, it's not going to be from here.
Oh, okay.
Double click, that's right. And now zoom into it. Okay. And now go in and select it and change the color. And now escape. And now go back to the other screen. So one of the thing is what happened here. You need a question? You okay? Okay. One of the questions, just to make sure you understand. Remember where I borrowed it from? I borrowed it from the map area. You don't double click on the one you open. You always double click on the original symbol panel, the symbol panel. This is the one that you edit. Yes.
How did you like cut those? Like, you know how you like manipulated it?
Oh, like I'm gonna double click on it again.
Yeah.
I'm gonna zoom into it, right?
Yeah.
I went to the direct selection tool.
Okay.
And I went to the edge. When you see the word anchor, you can basically start editing in Illustrator everything that you have. Does that make sense? So now, if I did that, I can even draw something else on it. Look at that. If I go in now and put on top of it an ellipse and change even a color and go in and escape, look what happened to my symbols. Do you see all the symbols changed? They look like maybe a guy is bending right now. Yes.
If I wanted to take one of these symbols and put it into InDesign, could I just drag and drop from the symbols area?
Not from the symbols area. If you want to put it in InDesign, you can copy and paste it
Okay.
directly. And another good way is actually save something like, let's say this one. Save that as Adobe Illustrator file and place it in InDesign.
Okay.
And what's the difference? Because if you place it in InDesign, InDesign is going to see it as a link. So all of a sudden, in the middle of InDesign, you say, oh, I hate it. You double click on the link, it opens Illustrator, you fix it, you save it with the same name, it jumps directly into InDesign.
Oh, okay.
Another thing to do it, which is a great question, by the way, is nowadays, what are we doing when we want to share stuff with icons, right? When we share it, we have the Adobe Creative Cloud libraries. Where are they? If you go into your workspace anywhere, you see Creative Cloud libraries. They are looking like Creative Cloud libraries, these guys. At the moment, I have like a regular library. But if I go to my Creative Cloud library, and you can make your own, you can click and say create new library, just call it library. Look what I can do here. I can select that and I can drag and drop it to my library. I can even name it. It's gonna know it's Illustrator. Then I can open InDesign and drag and drop it from the same library into InDesign. Does that make sense? So you can start accumulating symbols inside your Creative Cloud libraries. Does that make sense? So that's kind of cool. You can do any icon, any text, any drawing, anything that you have, you can go and put it in your Creative Cloud library. And then
Group shortcut.
Command G. So now I'm going back to the symbol samples. Do you see that? So if I don't, let's say I have the same thing here, and I put it all over the place, and all of a sudden you said to yourself, I want to change something, but this one I don't want it ever to be changed. So I'm going to select on this guy, and guess what I'm doing to it? I'm going to say break link. When it's break the link, this one doesn't know it's a symbol anymore. It's already a normal file. And now if I double click, it's gonna go in and just change these guys. When do you break links? We're gonna do it in a minute because we're gonna draw something. What if you wanted to do like a sign all over the place, and you say exit, 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 and 6 signs gonna be exit, and then 3 of them gonna be no exit. But you wanna have them in the same font and everything. So let's build something. Let's build an icon that's gonna have a sign. Very simple. I don't wanna build it over here. I wanna build it on another artboard. I wanna create another artboard. How would I do that? I'm gonna go to the artboard tool all the way down. It says one artboard over here. See, all the way up. Do you see the symbol next to it say new artboard? All the way up in your control. Do you see that? Click on it. It's creating a new artboard. Always create the same size of the other artboard. Then of course you can say change the size. I don't want them to overlap, so with the artboard tool I'm just gonna move it. How many artboards you can do in Illustrator? Up to 1,000 artboards. I don't know if you're gonna need it, but why did they make so many? Because of the icon making. Because some people making so many icons, one next to each other. In a minute we're gonna open like a template to create icons with artboards. So now I want you to just follow, we're gonna play with something. Let's go to our rectangle tool, and we're gonna do it step by step. Let's click and drag on the screen, hold down the mouse, and drag a rectangle. And you see next to it, I see the sizes. I see the width and the height. It is in points right now. I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna make it 200 points by 58 points. I can change it at any time. And release. And this is what I get. I got that, I have a rectangle. If I want to change everything now in Illustrator to inches, I want to go into View and Ruler and Show Ruler. And click and right click inside the ruler and make that to inches. So everything opens and makes it into inches. Why was it point? I probably started my file as point. So now if you're looking at it, and all the way up on the control there's a drop down menu for transform panel, you see that it is 2.77 inch by 0.8056, let's say, inches. If I want to make it really the right size, I'm going to do 0.9 and 2.8 width. So all of us has the same thing. You can always tell yourself exactly what to do to start with. Now what I want to do is Do you see this little dots here? I'm going to click inside and drag it inside. I'm going to make it into a round corner. And once I have a round corner, I might go to the stroke all the way up and add a black stroke and make it only 2 points. But I want to have my sign very light orange or light brown. That's it. I'm making it a light brown. That's it. That's what I made right now. I'm going to make something really simple. Now I'm going to go to, are you okay?
How did you change to inches again?
The what?
To inches.
Oh, I went into the rulers. I opened the rulers, right click on the ruler and change that here into inches. You have to see the rulers and you change it into inches. Does that make sense? Now I want to do like a little stick that, let's say, the sign sits on it. Right? So I can go into a regular rectangle again and just click and drag a small rectangle, kind of like all the way down here, and I make the height, I make it 2 inches, and the width maybe 0.3. I'm watching it. You see, that's it. I made that. And it's looking kind of on top of the sign. Do you see that? One thing I want to do is, I don't like the sign to have the stick on top. So I'm going to select just the stick, go to Object, Arrange, Send Back. Deselect. You see, it's already in the back. So the way you build objects in Illustrator, you basically build them with hierarchy. The first one always in the bottom and the other goes. So you can go in and move them around. I do want it to be kind of centered, so I select one, hold on the Shift key, select the other one, and if I go all the way up to the transform panel, I'm going to say align to selection, and then I'm going to go in and align it horizontal center. And you see that I made a mistake and I did it like that. I went back and move it up. If I go into edit and undo align, and undo align again, it goes back to normal. So I can go in, select again, align, and I'm going to say horizontal center. So you see it's center to center. That's it. Now I want to make something that's going to look like it's sitting on a nicer area, like just a little sign. So I'm going to maybe look at my symbol panel and see if I have something in there that's going to make life a lot nicer. Do you see I have little flowers? In the beginning it says symbol number 3. I'm going to put this one here, just like that. So the sign is inside like a little area with flowers. If I want to duplicate these ones, hold down the Option key and select one, and select the other one, and I made some kind of icon that is ready for me to do something. Does that make sense so far? You can make it, of course, fancier. Once you start using the drawing tool nicer, you can make things that look a lot better. Now, yes?
How did you get the symbols?
They were on my workspace, but if not, go to Window and bring the symbol panel out. All the panels are under the window menu bar. You can put anything in there. Now I want you to go to the type tool. Click on the letter T. That's it. Don't click inside here. Click somewhere outside and do one click on the screen. Do you see the word lorem ipsum? That's for by default only. I want you to highlight that with the type tool again and type exit. All caps. And once I want to select it, and all the way up you see that it's Myriad Pro size 12. right? Do you see that all the way on the top when you highlight? That's the default font for Illustrator. Do you see that when you are highlighting it? I'm going to the size 12 and I'm going to say that size, let's say 48. I can go to, it's Myriad Pro. I'm not going to go into using fonts. I can go inside, and if I have it maybe bold, I make it bold. If you have another type of size of type, you can do any type that you feel like it.
How did you get to
They're all the way up here.
yeah,
Once you highlight the type, you see everything about type in your control. If your control is not open, go to window and make sure your controls is on. Do you see that? You have to see the color, you have to see the font, and you have to select it with the type tool. Does that make sense? Is it working? So once I have it, I'm going to go to the selection tool. All what I'm doing, clicking on the word exit and putting it on top of the sign. And of course in real life, you're going to do something a lot nicer, right? Once you get to know Illustrator a little bit better. This is just the basics. I want to put it on the map because in the map it's going to be a lot of exits. Yes?
Sorry, how do we center that exit in that shape?
If you're going to go and center it on that shape, I'm going to select this shape, the top one. Hold on the shift key and select the word exit.
Oh, it's the same thing.
Yeah, and go in and make it center to center, and it centers inside. You aligning it to the one that you're part of it. It's this one. If I go to the align panel, and I'm going to go into align and align to selection, I'm going to do this one. Align center, this one and that one. See this, guys? The center to center. These two. And we're going to look at the exercise with aligns in a minute. You can understand how the align works a little bit better. You can align to a selection and you can also align to your object. Now I like it. I'm going to go in and do select. I'm going to go in with the selection tool, click and drag a marquee around it. So all of them are selected. And all what I need to do now is go to the flyout menu of the symbol panel and say new symbol. And call this new symbol sign. That's it. And you see it says dynamic symbol and static. Make it static for now. Doesn't matter if it is a movie clip or a graphics. And click OK. That's it. Do you see you have a symbol here? Now we're going to look at the symbol and we're going to duplicate it a few times. There is a symbolism tool that you can duplicate stuff, but you can also copy and paste. I'm going to hold on the Option key and go and do one symbol here, one symbol here, one symbol here, and one symbol here. And I really like what I did. The only thing I don't like maybe that I wrote the word exit in black. So I'm going now to my symbol panel, double clicking on the sign, and look what it opens. And all what I need to do is highlight and go and change the color of the sign to white and escape. And you see all the sign has exit. But what if you needed to do two of them no exit? If I double click and write no exit, you know what's going to happen. All of them it's going to be no exit. So for that you have to expand the symbol. So let's say this stays exit, This is no exit, this is no exit. I'm going to go to the first no exit. And I'm going to go in and break the link. And now I'm going to go to the type tool and type no exit. And then click and move it to the center of that. And now this one is going to be a symbol. But I'm going to show you a trick. I did one no exit. Do you see that? Were you able to do the no exit? Select the no exit, say new symbol, and call that no exit. And that's it. What if I want now this one to be no exit? I don't need to do it again. I want you to click on the one in the bottom. Do you see all the way up in your control? It tells you edit symbol, break a link. It tells you also replace. You see the word replace. You're just going to let me know if you see it. Click inside the arrow and you see the one that says no exit. So look what happened. It replaced that in the no exit symbol. Yes.
Could you do that one more time?
The replace?
Yeah.
I went back to the no exit, the one I changed.
Yeah.
Went all the way up to my control, and there's a word says replace. I can replace any symbol with the other symbol that I have over here. Guess what? If I click on I'm going to go back here. I don't want to replace this one actually. I want to replace this one because this one is okay. I'm going to go and can replace it with the no exit. I replace it with this one. I can replace it with the house. I replace it with the crib. I can replace it with a little ball over here or with another crib. Or replace it with the no exit. Does that make sense? So now both of these are symbols. So symbols are really replaceable. Every time that you're going to go in and do something with Illustrator, it's really great to make it into a symbol. It's going to take less memory. Then you can put it all over the area that you want. If all of it you need to change, it's going to be changeable. If few of them not, you can expand the link and then change the stuff that you have. I can also go to my Creative Cloud and then I can put one here. And then I can go into the no exit and create that. And you see I have that also in my Creative Cloud. Does that make sense? So two different ways to create and use a symbol. You also have something called a symbolism tool. So I explain it a little bit in my PDF, but I want to try to move for the charts just to show you. And we have more time, we're going to do extra stuff with it. Does that make sense? And I'm going to go in and save the file. So if I'm saving the file right now, guess what I have in my symbol panel? All these guys. Does that make sense? All of them are waiting for me. If I don't want all of them to be there, I always can go in and say select all unused, and the machine is going to select and do the all unused one and then take it away, and you have just the symbols that you used. But I want to show you also the organization chart, and then we're going to move on to the charts and the graphs. So if I want to move on to another screen, I'm going to hold down the space bar. That will take me to the hand tool. Move it a little bit to the side. And I'm going to go to the artboard tool. And I'm going to click on the add new artboard. And I have a new artboard over here. And now I want to go in and look at the organization's chart. Already I know they're not looking good, so we maybe fix them. I'm going to click on the organization chart and drag it to the screen. And look at it, it's pretty small. I'm going to hold down the shift key and I'm going to make it a little bigger. Basically, this one was done from a certain square over here that was part of it, and that's why it's here. Somebody made a little area that was a symbol, duplicated it together, and made from it an organization chart. Does that make sense? So if we want to change it, we can change that in 1 second by changing just the symbol. Yes.
I don't have that symbol in my.
I went in before, you probably didn't bring it in. I went into the symbol library and I went into Illuminate Organization Chart and brought one of them here. Organization Chart Curved 1. I dragged it over and that's why it's in there. Do you have any organization chart, anything? Put anything
I
else.
dragged it in.
Yeah. And that's why it came with the other stuff. You see here. But I don't like this one. Don't like the way, I don't like the green. So look what I can do. You see, I see that. I'm going to go and double click on the organization chart or edit symbol all the way up. And it's going to tell you there's a single symbol without a within the symbol. I'll say, okay. And look at this. It's going to go in and it wants you to edit the symbol in the middle. So I'm going to click on that and say edit symbol. So this one is the symbol that wants to be changed. And I'm going to zoom into it. And I can see here that was inside that there was a nice looking gradient. I'm just going to make it to something really simple. I'm just going to go in here and put it like an orange area here. That's it. Or even a light one. That's it. So I change it. If I double click on it again and again, there's other stuff in there. I don't want to get into it. There's all kind of special effect in there, but I'm going to leave it as is. Now, if I like it, I'm going to go in here and move it out and move it out and move it out, and look what happened to the entire organizational chart. I changed that and it looks a little bit different than the other one. Does that make sense? If I type something on it, it will have the type all over, and it's a good way to type something globally and then change it when you break the link. Does that make sense? If you really want to move stuff away, of course you can select that. Edit symbol. Go in here and you can say, okay, you guys moving here. I'm just making it up. You move here, you move here, you move all the way up here. And then I messed it up. See what I just did? I messed up my organizational chart, but you see, you can do it and make it your own at any time that you bring a symbol. Does that make sense? Basically, what are they? Assortment of things that make it into a symbol. Does that make sense? So now let's take a look at some of the charts that we have, and then we have time. We're going to go in because I want to make sure I show you the Pathfinder tools, because that's when you can make fun little objects and they become regular symbols. So what do you have over here? I'm going to do File and New. It will remember the last time I did something. It's going to be 4 inch by 4 inch. I'm not going to make it 2 artboards. So right away it made it into 2 artboards. And I'm going to look at the charts and graph area. These guys are not the greatest charts and graphs, but they're going to let you do some stuff. And they also, you can use some data from Excel, but you need a lot of tweaking with it. So I don't do that with a lot of Excel. I end up doing stuff that I can type the stuff myself. And I brought you some data as well. Just leave that as is because I want you to open something. File and open. And I wanted you to go into the one that you have and go in, and you want to go in to open graphs and charts. And these guys are 2 different kind of graphs that you have there. So let's say I'm going to go in and click on the first one, on the last one. It says style which graph, and open that. And now basically what I have here is a lot of artboards, and in the artboards you can see different kind of graphs. I want to see the entire artboard. I'm going to go view and fit all on artboard, and look what happens here. Look how many artboards I have there. A lot of them, and they are all over the place. So I'm going to go in and select the first one and go into view and fit artboard in windows. So this one is a regular column graph. Basically relates to this guy. Then I'm going to go in all the way down. It takes a while to find it. It's this one. This one is a line graph. Then I'm going to go in and look at this. It looks all over the place. I want to set it up a lot nicer. Because if I go to view and fit all on artboard, look at this. It's all over the place for me. I can go to my artboards and tell them to fit on screen in a different way. How do I do that? I'm going to go to Window, Artboards. This is my artboard panel. I want to make sure my artboard, nothing is locked. Go to the flyout menu and say rearrange all artboards. Do you see that? And then I'm going to go in and make that in one straight line. Make sure all the artwork is with it and click OK. And look how the artboard is here. You see? The only thing underneath it, there was something in my layers panel that was locked. Do you see all this area here? There was something locked. So if I go edit and undo rearrange, I'm going to go first to object and unlock all, because maybe something was locked. And then do the same thing. Rearrange all artboards, and I'm going to click OK, and look at that. So now it's a lot easier for me to show you what's going on here. I have one like this. I do have a stacked. I have this. I have a bunch of graphs that I can go in and do in Illustrator. All these are little graphs that you can do whenever you want to work and make a graph. What if it is a graph that you did already? Let's say at the beginning, which graph? If I'm going to go in and select just this graph over here with my selection tool, I can go to object and I can go all the way down to graph. And it says what type of graph it is, and I can change that to a different type of graph. I can say everything on the right side, on both sides, but what's wrong with this dialog box? What are you missing when I open that? A preview. And that's why I told you in the beginning, the graphs panel, it's a little old-fashioned, and you don't see what you do. So I really don't know my results right now. That's why I don't really like it all the way. But if I decide to change this one to a stack brush, if I click OK, look what happens. Remember how it used before? It changed it for me. If I'm going to go again to object and graph and change that to type and change that maybe to stack, look at that. Does that make sense? So you can do one and change it to different sizes. The only problem you have, you do not have a preview when you work with it. Does that make sense? So how do you start a graph if you want to start with? I'm going to go to the first one and I'm going to zoom in. And then I'm going to go into the first column graph. I can go into object and graph, and I can go into design and decide which one, which I don't have any design, or I can go into the screen and click and drag. And look what happens. The data is opening for you. And now, if you have any other data that somebody already brings you, you can copy and paste it into it. From Excel, you're going to need to do a lot of tweaking, which is a little crazy. What does it mean? go back to your file. I'm not sure I have my Excel active, but I'm going to go into Graph and Chart, and then I'm going to open one of the Excel data that I have. Okay, I knew it's not going to open. Okay, I'm going to go. Okay, I have that here. So let's say I have this Excel data here. You want to copy the data that you have and paste it inside the one that you want to go in there. But we don't have to really, I mean, if you go, this one's not going to paste for me because this, my Excel, I forgot to pay for it. Okay, let me put it to the other Excel. And I'm going to go into the other Excel that I have. And the only problem, I don't want to kind of like guide you through Excel and all kind of stuff because you're going to, there's all kind of rules to do that. But basically, we're going to look just at the area that you have. And what you want to do is, I know you want to have like quotation mark next to every region. That's all. That's what it's asking for. And there's a way to do it with Excel, but I'm just going to do a quotation mark to each region that I have there. Oops. Region and quotation. Region 2 and quotes. Come on. 2 quotes. And then go into region 3 and do quotes. Space and quotes. And then do to 4 and do quotes. And you basically want to put it also on the after the heading. Q1. They might change it soon, but that's kind of like a little glitch between Excel and Illustrator. So basically all these guys have to be kind of has a quotes. And once you have that, just go in and select the whole thing and copy. And go into Illustrator and go back here to the data and paste. And now click OK. And it didn't do anything for me because I probably did something not good over here with this one. Okay. And okay, it didn't do it. Not nice. I'm gonna do Command Z. It probably needs to go all the way to the top, and you want to write like 1, and whatever it is, you want to, it has to have all the stuff in there, and you basically have to paste all the data. And then if you click on here, it did kind of a weird data for me with the little guys. It did all these guys here and not the one that I really wanted. I might go in back to Illustrator now and go into Object and select just the graph and see what I just did. And it basically did a weird graph for me here, so I cannot change the stuff. But basically what you have to do is write down. I'm just gonna go in and don't save the data. Okay, and I'm gonna go in and click OK and delete this one. I'm gonna try even just to put something. You can just click in and start putting some stuff. So let's say just 2 and 3 and 4. The only problem you see, you do not see any preview to what you're doing. And then I'm gonna do and then click OK. And basically I did something really, really simple. Just a bar graph, just the regular one. The good news about it though, if you're gonna create anything now in Illustrator, you can change all these bars basically to a different look. What does it mean? You can go and bring any other image, put it here, and then create a style for it. And based on the style, it's gonna take the bar graph and make it a graph for you. What does it mean? I'm gonna open another one over here, and let's go into Illustrator and do File and Open. I'm gonna leave this one as is, and I'm gonna open something else that you have here, and then you have an area that says, let's say, pencil chart. And this one, I tweaked it a little bit. And that was a graph that had some stuff, number of pencils, but you see I have a little pencil all the way to the side already. I didn't draw it, it's my friend Tony drew it. And I changed the colors and I bought it for him, and I told him I'm gonna give him a credit. So he drew this pencil. Once I have this pencil, I'm gonna go to Object and Graph. And I'm gonna go into Design Columns. Do you see that? And I'm gonna go in, I have to select more than one column, and I didn't select any of my columns because I forgot. I'm gonna select the columns, and I'm gonna go to Object, Graph and Columns. And over here, I'm gonna see which columns that I wanna go and make. I have this one, I have that one, and maybe I wanna go in and I'm gonna choose a design. I needed to go in. You can choose any design that you have, and that's gonna be the design that was there over here. But I'm not gonna do it first. I'm gonna go Object and Graph, and I'm gonna first go and do a design. And then I am going to go into a new design, and first I need, of course, I forgot to select my little pencil. Go Object, Graph and Design, and I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna say New Design, and I'm gonna call the new design, rename it, and I'm gonna call it Pencil. And I clicked OK. I just created a design. Could be anything. Now I'm gonna go to my columns. I'm gonna go to Object and Graph, and I'm gonna go into Columns, and now I'm gonna go into the pencil, and I'm just gonna play with it. The only thing that's bad, I don't know how it's going to look. No idea. Why? I don't have a preview. So I'm gonna go in and say vertically scaled. Do you see what happened? It just scaled the pencils and they kind of vertically stretched. Do you see that? Is that cool? It's cool, but it's maybe not looking so good. I can go to Object and Graph, and I'm gonna go Columns, and I am going to go in and say uniformly scaled. No idea how it's gonna look. That actually looks good, but look how it's one all over the place. I'm gonna go back here and I'm gonna go into Columns, and then I'm gonna go in repeating. You know what repeating is going to do. And I'm gonna go into like 4. Maybe I should have done 1. Oh, that's gonna kill it, because the design is pretty heavy, because it's repeating. I should have put just 1 and just repeating tiny little pencil all over this thing. Don't crush it. Is that okay? I probably play too much and I'm escaping out of it because it thinks it's too much. But basically you can go in, and then the last one that's going to be the best one, try sliding. Sliding is going to do the pencil slides across the area that you have. I'm going to go back here, probably my Illustrator. No, Illustrator is still okay. Maybe I have too many things open. Oh, it probably made to me something not looking so good. You see what happened? It just made the graph kind of like crazy completely. So basically should escape from it because it's still thinking. I'm gonna go back here and maybe even tell it not to do it. So be careful. Why did I do that? Because I don't have a preview, so I really don't know how to do that. But you can take any image that you have and create a little style to all the graphics that you have. And you can have a pie chart like this and all kind of stuff like that as well. I'm going to open that again, and you can see that it's going to open, and hopefully it's going to open it the right way. So I can do it in different ways, and I can open either one. But what if you don't want to start using all the pie charts and all the stuff that you have over here? Because you can see they're going to do different kind of things. So I have a little exercise for you to do it with this circle tool. Go to File and Open. And I'm going to my area that you have symbol for when you have graphics, and in the graphics you have infographic samples that I have a bunch of them for you to go and play with after you know how to investigate that. But click on the pies and more, and look what I have here. I have here an area that we are going to play with in a few minutes. It does look like a pie chart, right? Let's do something like this without even paying attention to these guys. And we're going to do it kind of like really fast. Where shall we do it? We're going to go in and do it all the way to the end, to this area. All I want you to do is go to your ellipse tool. Hold down the Option or Alt and Shift key and create an ellipse. Go to your Transform panel, and you'll find it either in your workspace or all the way down under Window and Transform. And let's go in and select the ellipse and go and give it a green fill. And I'm going to do no stroke, none, or 0. Do you have a circle on the screen? Yes? Now you see the tiny little handle over here. Click on it and drag the handle and bring it a little bit to the left until the angle is going to be something like starts at 50.
How do you select the circle again?
With the selection tool, with this one.
Okay.
You see this little handle? I can go in and move this handle. I'm looking start angle, pie angle, something like that. Don't have to be exactly like mine. So every circle you can make it into looking like a little pie or like a Pac-Man. But now we're going to do the trick. We are going to go and duplicate it. Hold on the Option key and drag a copy. Because what do we want to show? We want to show that another pie is going out of it. A piece that the one we cut out. But we go to the second one. Do you look at your Transform panel? Do you see the arrows here? And it says Invert Pie. Do you see what happened when I invert the pie? It's the other side of the pie. Does that make sense?
What do you click on to get the invert?
This guy here.
Okay.
Do you see that? Invert by on, off. Some people look at the symbol. Don't look at the symbol. Basically the arrows, that's the one who is inverting it. You take the one that you inverted and you want to put it somewhere that it looks like it came out from the first pie. Like jumps out of it. Now I'm going to go and fill it with red. So do you see now I have a chart that maybe it's a quarter of it or 1/3 of it, and it looks like one part of it is the one that we took out. Does that make sense?
Wait, how do you take that? How do you take that out again?
Oh, how did I do the first one like this?
No,
I-
like how do you create sort of like
The Pac-Man?
like the small part?
The small part, I just went in here. It was like this. And I went here and inverted it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it's basically takes the other side, and that's where we copied it. So it does exactly pull out this size. If you go in and put it really inside, you see it's really the missing piece. And I'm going to move it a little bit up and fill it with red. Now I want to select the two of them. And let's give it a little hype. Let's make it look like it is 3D. I can go to Effect, 3D. It's not real 3D in Illustrator. It's an effect. It's like a filter. So you're not a 3D artist when you do 3D in Illustrator. You do 3D lookalike. So I'm going to go and say extrude and bevel. A dialog box will open. This one is a good dialog box. It has a preview. When people ask me what is a good one, what is a bad one, I tell them the one that has a preview, that's a good dialog box. You see how trouble I got into with the pencils? Because I didn't know how it's looking. They should have a preview there, but they didn't update it for a while, so it's like, I think it's gonna look like this. So I'm gonna go in and click on preview. And then here I can also go in and say more options. I can move a little bit the light source, and I can see a little kind of look different. I can look at the extrude, I can look at the depth over here. I can go into the bevels. I can change some stuff that I want. Yes.
I'm sorry, how did you get them?
Yeah. I selected the whole thing, the two of them, and went to Effect, 3D, Extrude and Bevel. And then make sure right away you open the preview. And then you can say more options. And now I can play a little bit with stuff. And then if I want it to be a little bit wider, of course I can do that, but I'm not gonna do it. I feel like as is, 50 is too much. Yes.
My 3D is turning out to be black.
Okay, what color is your pie?
Green.
Green. Do you have a stroke?
Yes.
Yeah. Say cancel, go out, take away the stroke. Because depending on the sizes, the 3D takes the stroke and make it kind of really big. Now, if I like it, I click OK. And look what I'm doing. Deselecting and selecting just the piece and moving it a little bit. So it looks like it came out from this area. Does that make sense? Now you're going to ask me a question. What if I don't like the way the 3D looks? I want to change it a little bit, right? Maybe we don't like it. If you don't like it, do not select it and go back to Effect and 3D. You have to go to a place called the Appearance panel. If you don't have it on your workspace, go to Window and Appearance. And this is your Appearance panel. Do you see it says 3D Extrude and Bevel in there? Do you see the word? You can turn it off, or you can double click on it, click again on the preview, and change again. Does that make sense? It's a live effect that's gonna let you fix everything. So where do you go to? It's for everything that you have to change effects. It is your Appearance panel. Select, go to the Appearance, you'll see there, you double click, you change the effect. You click OK, it's all good. Deselect. Now, of course, I can go in and do what I did in the other one. I wrote like 25% and 75% and 25 or whatever it was. So I can go into the type tool, click somewhere on the screen and type, let's say 75%, and go in and highlight that and make that a little bigger, let's say 48% of 75, and I can put it here. And I can hold on the Option key and duplicate the 75 and just highlight that and write it 25. So you see I put up, yes.
If we wanted, sorry. So if we wanted to save this and put it into InDesign, we save it just like a symbol.
You can save it as a symbol. First of all, you can go in and put it in your library, right? I can go in and put it in my library and have it there and it's all good. That's one way. Another way, I can go in and copy it and go directly into InDesign and paste it. That's it. Another way, you save it as an Adobe Illustrator file and place it in InDesign.
Got it. But
And-
will the library transfer?
Oh yeah, and I'm opening, that's why I'm opening it.
Awesome. Thank
See,
you.
I'm opening especially, and let's say, go into File New. I'm just going to open a simple document, right? Like this. And I really want to use the pie chart over here. I'm going to go to the Creative Cloud library. I'm going to find the library that I played with. And I'm going to go, look at this. I'm in InDesign right now. This is InDesign.
Amazing.
See here? That's the library.
Amazing. Thank you.
I have that. It's all good. I'm looking at my links panel. Do you see what I have here? Illustrator. I can go back here. I can do edit or Illustrator. I'm going to go edit original. I'm going to go back here. It opens that. I'm going to say I really don't like that. I'm going to select, let's say, just this. And then go into Illustrator and change some stuff, and it's gonna go in and jump back into it. Save. Go back to InDesign. Look at this. I'm back in InDesign. One save.
Perfect. Thank
How
you.
cool is that? It is a round trip. For you, it's also in Photoshop like this. If I put this one in Photoshop now, right? Some of you take Photoshop. Let's say I'm copying in Photoshop. Photoshop is gonna ask me, how do you want to put it in there? As a smart object and all kind of stuff. I say yes, then I don't like it, I double click, it jumps into Illustrator, you change it, it jumps into Photoshop. How cool is that? Yes?
Quick question. So you know in the Photoshop class that you said we can take an image for like this and then move it up to the tab to like move it into a different tab. Can we still do that on this as well?
Oh, in Illustrator?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's all these little guys, workspaces, drag and drop, zoom in, zoom out, they're all kind of best friends. They're all the same one. Does that make sense? So for you, I know we didn't do as much as I wanted because people never used Illustrator before, but go through these files that I have, and you have all the files there. You can do it kind of almost like step by step. So because one more thing I wanted to show you, because I want to really show you the Pathfinder and the Align. You have a little file that says Pathfinder and Align panel. And why did I wanted to show you that? Because here you can go in and create objects that are going to cut each other. So if I zoom in, let's say to the first one, shape mode. If I'm going to my Pathfinder window and Pathfinder, and you do have it in your PDF, and in the Pathfinder you have shapes and you have Pathfinders. Shapes will become to one object that always one color in Illustrator. Pathfinders will cut them, and then not gonna be one object in Illustrator. So if I am, let's say, selecting this guy, hold on the Shift key and selecting the other one. If I want it to be one object, I can click on Unite. Do you see what happened to it? If I'm going to select this one and click on minus front, all of a sudden you get an object that looks like that. This is how you're going to start building your objects. This is how I showed you all the icons. I basically didn't draw anything. I took little things, I was cutting them, and then luckily I was able to move them together and they look good. Sometimes they don't. So basically I'm moving around stuff to create something. This guy intersects, so you see what I'm gonna get. I'm gonna get just this one. And this one is exclude. What is this one inside? That's transparent. Does that make sense? So if I'm going to the first file that I have, that I think I called, probably it's not there anymore because I crashed. But if I'm going to my recent files and the one that I called that sample symbols, the first one, oh, it didn't save. And then I go into the second one, sample symbols number 2. Remember this one that we played with the one over here, and I had some other one. It basically didn't save it for me because I crashed. But anything that I go to, I can go in and change the stuff that I have. I'm just gonna go in and change it. So I'm gonna go in again to my Pathfinder. If I go down to the Pathfinder, these guys are not gonna be one image. What are they? If I select one and select the second one and go to the divide, look what is happening. It becomes a group. I can go to object and ungroup it and basically select one and change the color, let's say to this one. Select this one and change the color to that one. They look like they used to be the same, but look at them. There are 3 different objects. I can even do an icon that looks like that. Does that make sense? By using only the divide command. So what is the divide doing? Everything that it's overlapping, it's gonna go in and cut and divide it for you. Does that make sense? Like if I'm looking at some samples over here, if I'm going to go just to a rectangle and make a color and do another rectangle and another rectangle and another rectangle, do you see the overlapping? If I'm selecting all of them except this one and click on divide, and I'm going to go to object and ungroup and maybe even go to my color panel because I don't have a lot of colors over here. Each area here, look what happens. See how we divide it? This one is an object. 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 This one is an object, and that was an object. Do you see that? Why is it happening? Because everywhere that you overlap, it will just cut it. It's easier to see it if I command Z for a minute all the way. If I had it with actually a stroke, so you can see exactly where it's cut. I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to add a stroke to it. See, I'm going to do the same thing and divide. Now you know already. If I'm selecting that and ungrouping it, you know already this one is an object. This one is an object. This one is an object. This is an object. This is an object. So if you have to do something like really modular and all kind of stuff with lines and things like this, that's when you're going to work with the divide command. Does that make sense? That's always what you want to do when you play with that. This object can go and overlap one on top of each other. I can align them. I can do anything that I want. That can become an icon. Does that make sense? So this is what I did with this one, just to show you. If I'm selecting like these guys here, this one and that one, I called it Pathfinder merge because I merged them, but if I divide them, look what happens. And each one can become a different color for a symbol, and that could be some kind of a symbol that you can work on. The sample symbols and icons that I gave you, they all have like straight corners and straight areas. Can you add to them later something a little more jazzy? Of course. What does it mean? If I feel like taking this one and later on put on it something else, you can always select that and select this one and make that 3D if you want. And then now it's going to go into the preview, and then maybe the 3D is a little too much, so maybe I'm going to do it something like this. Already gave it a little different look. These guys also, for 3D, you can map them inside with your symbols. What does it mean? It's a little more advanced, but you can have pie charts and then little people in them and put them in the symbol and map your pie chart with the symbol. Does that make sense? So you can go and put some stuff. You can do all kind of effect to them. You can do all kind of things. So if I really wanted to go, let's say I'm going to check my symbol panel. It doesn't have anything in there. I might go into the symbol and maybe bring in the symbol, maybe sushi, whatever it is. I'm going to put a sushi inside. Maybe my job is to do some stuff about sushi restaurants. So I'm going to go into this one and I'm going to double click, click on the preview, do map art, and it is going to ask me where is everything. And then if I go to an area that you think it is going to be the right area that I want to map stuff with, I'm going to go and find my symbol. Click inside and bring it in. Look at that. Do you see what I have here?
Sorry, how do you find map art again?
Map art is all the way down. So you have to do few options, but you have the map art. And it takes it from the symbol that you have to prepare in advance. Does that make sense?
But it's in the effects, the extrude and...
Extrude and bevel is in the effect. To fix the effect, you're going to go in and fix it from your appearance panel. So go through the PDF. If you have any question, we might do another class with it. Of course, it's better to have a little understanding of how Illustrator works. And I invite you for next semester to come to my ACA Illustrator class. It's really a great class. And in the end, you take a test and you're an expert in Illustrator. Does that make sense?
Thank you, Han.